keep the giggling down to a low rumble. I appreciate it. And
it's going to be hard for you.
First question.
Everyone seems to be taking note of the grassroots promotional strategy that escalated you from obscurity to the hottest club act in the country to a major label deal. Tell us a little bit about the journey from 1991 Dave Matthews demo to the last month's release of the Under the Table a Dream.
Well, the whole following that we got by ourselves, the promotion and the development of that was with a lot of help from our management. We just had friends and people that we were close to take responsibility for a lot of stuff that we didn't have time to do, and we just went out and played a lot and played it from the bottom of our hearts, and it worked out really well for us, you know. But because we didn't run it and try and get any support from major management or from record companies, we just chose friends and said, "Do you think you can push this pencil or make these telephone calls for us?" And it worked out for us. Yeah.
Part of that grassroots movement included
And when one of you finishes a question, by chance, if you have something to add,
just go on.
right in there. Just jump right on in there after he finishes. Okay, next question, please.
Part of that grassroots movement included a computer network amongst your fan base. Tell us about that, and does it still exist? Has it changed at all as online capabilities have grown on both sides in technology?
I don't have a computer, so I don't really know too much about it, but I just know that like there are a lot of kids that get bootleg tapes of us and spread them around to their friends, and they initiated, you know, that kind of stuff to themselves. And I guess there's a group of kids that got this computer network, and they talk about the band, and you know, it's a pretty cool idea. I just don't know very much about it because I'm not into it. You know, I don't have a computer. I mean, you know.
Anything to add on that?
Well,
They were really kind of interested in that. So.
yeah, the whole they call it a minaret net after a song of ours. It's called "Screaming from the Minarets." I heard about it when I got a big pile of papers of letters and different stuff that people had put out on it.
Start again. We're not going to hear any of her questions, so when you guys are responding and trying to work her questions, email and start.
Okay.
I got you.
Once again.
Okay. We have this email thing, this thing that they out on the computer. Sort of. I don't have a computer either, so I don't know what. I've never read it on the computer. I mean, and. But there's kids out there that have these computer communications to the telephone lines and they tell what sets we've done or where we're playing next or what our show was like, and they complain about us if we didn't get them backstage and all sorts of things. But it's really flattering that people take that they enjoy the music so much that they're interested in what we do when they're not there or what we do when they're traveling around. And I think it's helped, along with the bootleg tapes, spread the word about us around a whole lot. And again, it's gratifying as hell. It's a little weird. It's kind of like the Twilight Zone, but it's satisfying as well. You know?
They've kind of created like a movement of their own, you know, and it's just really neat to be a part of it, you know. It's something that our fans created. You know.
So what does that mean to you, that they would do something? What kind of reaction do you get from that? Because you mentioned earlier that you're not really computer-based guys.
Yeah.
People are taking the time and always refer back to her, always to her. What does that mean to you as an artist? That people are taking the time to do something like that?
It's pretty flattering, I guess. I'm just, we just play night after night and tour night after night. So it's sometimes there's a lot of stuff going on, like the minaret net, that I don't really take the time to really stop and think about. Wow, this is very cool. But you know, it's flattering. It's really flattering. Yeah.
Next question, please, and always continue to look at her, guys. Thanks. Next question.
What was it like to work with Steve Lillywhite? One article suggested that he lobbied you guys to let him produce your album. Is this the case?
Well, I don't know if he lobbied. We probably did as much lobbying as he did, but I think our first album had working with Steve Lillywhite. We got to work with him through sending him a CD of our first release, and then and he said the thing that caught him was that we had the audacity to put 27 snare hits at the beginning of the album, and then the music came in. So I think we caught him in sort of an underhanded way, but but working with him was amazing because he's such a humble, gracious person. He was so kind and kept reminding us that the whole process of making music, the whole process of making an album should be about having fun. So it really was good for us because it was our first studio experience to go in and be able to to be relaxed and be at home and feel like we didn't have to do anything that we hadn't done before, but rather there was someone like a coach or like a father figure almost, but not so much like that because we went out drinking pretty heavily with him and had a lot of fun with him too, so it wasn't too much like a daddy, but in a way it was like having someone there that could just walk you along in a really calm and sweet way. So it was awesome to work with him. He's an amazing man, genius at what he does, although he hates the word.
Okay. Has LeRoi previously worked with any of your influences, and who are some of your musical influences?
Yeah, I guess we're all probably pretty much influenced by bands like U2 and Joan Armatrading and Peter Gabriel. You know, those are like three that I can think of right offhand that he's worked with. But those are a lot of music, and I've listened to a lot of like classical music. I listen to rock, I listen to jazz. So I have influences from a lot of different directions. You know.
I think our influences, one of the things that for me makes working with all the guys in the band so exciting is that everybody comes from, although there's crossover, everybody in the band comes from different places. We're at different ages, we have different backgrounds. Some people lived in one place, some people traveled around. We all met eventually in a bar and got this band together, and I think that a lot of the things that keep me excited about it is that everybody has this really different view of music, but when we're together, we all still come at it with an openness and an aggression that I haven't seen in any other experiences I've had. So although our influences are really widespread, when it's in the context of the band, we're pretty focused on just making something, and not what it's going to be, but just something. So it's kind of a healthy creative process, I think.
People often compare Dave to Sting. Do you mind this, and has it helped you at all, or has it hurt you?
Well, yeah, I hear that, the comparison of me and Sting, which...
Can I ask you to start that again? I'm
okay.
Sorry, I was...
Okay.
Ready? And stand by. If you look at her, that means you're ready.
Okay.
Anytime you're ready.
People have compared me to Sting. I don't know if it's my vocal or if it's my songwriting or what it is, but I mean, that's gratifying. I think Sting is awesome. I didn't listen to him enough to think that he influences me as much as maybe the Beatles or other bands, but I like him, so yay. If people are going to compare me with Sting, good. It can't hurt me. Good.
Being a live band, even the first two albums were recorded live. Was it difficult to record a studio album? And did you guys do anything unusual to try and capture the live energy on disc? And are you happy with the final product?
Recording, we hadn't been in the studio before. In the 3 years we've been together, both our albums were live. And
Can I ask you to start that again? I'm sorry.
Okay, sure.
See, when you're doing two people, it's a little harder.
Yeah, okay. We had our first two albums were live, and then going to the studio for 2 months it was alien in a way because we hadn't been in that environment. We'd been there for short periods, and we'd been in there without the band. In other bands, but we hadn't been in a band together. So it was alien, but working with Steve LeRoi made it much calmer, much more relaxed situation, and it wasn't hard. We did a lot of it live. We did the rhythm tracks, the bass, the guitar, and the drums all together. So that had a live element to it, and we used a lot of the tracks that were scratch tracks, scratch vocals. We used them on the final product, so it kept an element of the live thing in there. But even though we hadn't done it before, it was pretty relaxed. The whole situation, Steve had a way of making us feel like we'd been doing it all our lives, so it was cool.
And your reactions to working with him? Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, so working in the studio, I think pretty much came natural to us, you know, even though we...
Guys, we're getting a little too loud here, and somebody's like throwing and smashing beer bottles. I know I used to bartend and I used to do that, but if you can kind of keep that down too, that'd be very cool. Everybody's doing great, by the way, but it's just like, if I don't throw on you, you just start getting real loud. Thanks. We're doing great over here, by the way, just in case you're wondering.
So what was the question?
Working with Steve LeRoi in the studio.
Yeah. So yeah, being in the studio seemed pretty natural to us, you know, and I think Steve had a lot to do with us. He made everyone feel comfortable, and he knew how to work with everyone really well. But we all just had a good time. We played a lot of ping pong, you know, we watched a lot of World Cup, so it was a lot of fun. It was also up in the Catskills Mountains, so we just hung out in nature and walked around a lot too, so. it was a good place to be.
How many nights a year do you guys play live, and how do you keep it fresh?
1,000. We play 1,000 nights a year, 1 billion nights a year. It seems. No, it's not. We drive around and play like we had from the beginning. Like 2 years ago, we drive around. We go. We started in a van. That was hell, living hell. Little 10 by 5 foot space. But you know, it's getting easier and easier. We're getting better and better at traveling, and we travel as much as we can. And maybe in 5 years we can all be lying around and not touring and making albums. But I doubt it. We kind of have a really good time playing in front of people, and that's where we came from. So hopefully we'll keep doing it.
What was it like to play the Horde Tour?
Horde Tour is fun.
Once again, let's start that again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, stand by real quick. And anytime you're ready, sir.
I really enjoyed playing the Horde Tour. We played with like our old friend Blues Traveler. We played with them a lot. And we also got a chance to play with the Allman Brothers, you know, the band that I think we all sort of grew up listening to, you know, and a few of us got a chance to sit in with them, and that was a really cool experience. So it was a lot of fun, you know, and I hope it continues to go on, you know.
On the Horde tour, we got there was a lot of sitting in. I didn't do any, but other guys in the band sat in with different guys, different bands on the Horde tour. So I think it was good for us exposure-wise. It was cool to travel around. It's kind of like a circus environment. It's kind of like being in a traveling circus because you've got all these weird people with pants and bells and selling all their bizarre merchandise. So it was cool for that reason. We started the show, so admittedly, we were playing for a few people and the hot dog vendors and the people that were putting up the porta-johns, but it still was cool to just be there with those different bands.
What's going
Next.
What is going to be the first single off the new album?
The first single, I think, is going to be "What Would You Say." I'm not sure what cut that is on the album, but from what I understand from RCA, that's who we're signed to now, is they're pretty fond of that tune. So I think we're going to go with that first, and I have a few other ideas for what comes after that. But first is "What Would You Say," I think.
Any videos on the way?
Videos. Won't you have us come on MTV and do an unplugged? We're kind of unplugged already. Just bring us on there to do an unplugged. So no, we're thinking about videos. It's alien to us, much more alien than going to the studio because it's a visual thing. So which we do just by playing, but we haven't gotten up in front of cameras and acted, I don't think, or whatever you do, or pretended that we're singing. So videos, yeah, I'm psyched to do them. I've got a few ideas bubbling in my mind about videos, but I'm not sure what they're going to be. But I guess what would you say would be the first video we're going to do? I guess sometime soon. But have us come and do an unplugged show, please. Talk to your bosses. Talk to your supers. Okay. Well, now's the time to talk about it.
Is this it here? Is it your headphones? Where's it at? Is it here? Well, how long has that been happening? Just now? Okay, well that's cool then. Okay, let's try to continue then.
I won't move as much.
Can we count to 10 real quick?
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, you want me to count to 10? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8, 9, 10.
Can you repeat anything that you said?
Is that good?
Okay, just the thing about, we're not really into videos, but we'd love it if you guys had us and kick in on this too. Yeah, that'd be great, man. If you guys get us on, because we're musicians, we're already, so we kind of play off each other. Say action like we do in Hollywood. Stand back for speed. Continue to look at her from the beginning of the dojo.
We haven't planned a video yet. We haven't done any videos yet. We're mainly, up to now, we've been a live band, and that's been our focus in putting out our own records and now the RCA thing. But I guess we will do one eventually. I was kind of hoping that tonight, when I met you all, that you'd invite us to come and do an unplugged show. Don't you think we could? I think we do an excellent unplugged show.
Definitely love to do an unplugged show.
we're already unplugged, so we're all acoustic, so it wouldn't be too hard for us to translate that, I don't think, to getting up there and doing it. So that's my plea with you. Is to come, let us do it. Let us do it. Let us do an unplugged show. God.
Great. Next question. There you go.
You guys built up a solid fan base in the South and in the Northeast, also Colorado. Now you're venturing into uncharactered territory out West. How's it going? And is it exciting or challenging today?
Well, we haven't yet been out West. We've been to Seattle for one show, and we went to Colorado, which I guess is out West. We've got a good following out there now. We've been out there a few times. But I'm kind of confident because our whole show is live. So when we go and we meet new audiences, whether they're 10 people or 30 people or 1,000 people, we play our hearts out and pretend like they're really enjoying it, even if they're just looking at us like, that's good enough for me. I'll play my guts out and pretend like you're screaming if you look at me like that. I think we're doing well out there.
Yeah.
Right. I'm trying to stay more now on live shows. So you guys
That's cool. That's cool.
That's great. Okay, next
Okay, I'm going to interact with you now.
That's it?
That's it?
Yay!
Yeah, real quick. We just got a couple more questions real quick.
Okay.
Okay, go. Right.
Many concert reviews talk about you guys as the opening act, blowing away big name headliners. How did those reviewers make you feel, and did such reviews spark any rivalries?
No, I don't think so. I think we've been pretty much focusing on making our music better and just playing music more than we've been focusing on like reviews and things, you know. And it's just, I don't think it's really had that big of an impact. And I hope that it hasn't created any rivalries. There's definitely no bad feelings in this band about any of it.
Yeah, we've opened up for a lot of big acts, and often that's been the way that we've hooked up with them to play with them again and again after that, whether it's been to open with them or to play on co-bills. But rivalry is something that I think we even go out of our way to prevent if we play with people, because it's just an honor to be able to play with a lot of the great bands we've played with. And I don't think we blow anyone off the stage. I think we maybe leave people thinking, what the hell was that? Because, you know, but at best. But we don't go out there to beat anyone, and I don't have a sense of competition at all. And I don't think we've given anyone else that either. We have a good time when we open up for people because you have 45 seconds to cram your whole thing in there. It's like the opposite of making love. You got to try and do it short and sweet and sharp as opposed to make it last. So it's nice to open up for people. It's good.
Okay, for Dave, what brought you from South Africa to Charlottesville?
My family's moved around a lot, and every time my family when I was growing up moved around a lot, and people always ask me whether my parents were in the military. No, my parents just were born in South Africa. Their parents were born in South Africa, but my father was a physicist, so when I was very small, he moved to the States. And then we went back to South Africa, and we sort of bounced back and forth between the two countries, and we ended up in Charlottesville because my parents had lived there before I was born, and my mother loved it especially. So we went back there, and I followed my mom there, and I love it in the States. I feel much more American than I do South African in a way, because I feel kind of like a mutt, and I think that America's made up of mutts much more than a lot of the world. So I kind of feel myself drawn here.
South African music have any kind of influence on you? Any whatsoever?
What did you say?
Did any of the South African music have any influence on you?
Yeah, but I think mainly when I was in South Africa during my high school, I listened to a lot of African bands, a lot of African music, a lot of African jazz, just because it was there and it was available, and you didn't have to go too far to find it. So it definitely had an influence on me, because there's a whole circular thing that I really love about African music, a repetition, a thing that goes round and round that kind of makes, it's kind of like walking, or it's kind of like a heartbeat, or it's kind of like the seasons, or like a day and night. You know, it's very rhythmic, but it's also, it's continuing. And I try to get that into the songs that I write, and sometimes more than other, I'm successful, you know.
You guys have encouraged bootleggers in the past. Is RSA allowing you to continue to practice?
Well, we've had bootleggers. It's helped us, I think.
From
It's
the
helped
very
us.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah, but it's helped us spread the word when we didn't have an album out for 2 years. It helped get stuff out there, and RCA has been. They haven't suggested to us that we stop. You know, there's a thought every once in a while in my mind. I think, well, maybe if we let people bootleg, they're not going to buy the album. So I guess if I'm going to be on TV, I should beg the bootleggers to go out and buy the albums as well. But I think we can let people carry on bootlegging just because it's different from the record. It's a live show, and if they really are attached to it, I don't see why they shouldn't be allowed to.
Now that you're promoting a major label release, will the promotional tactics change at all? Or will they be staying behind the grassroots art?
I think part of the reason that RCA was impressed by us was because of the whole grassroots way that we did it ourselves, the way that we promoted it ourselves. So I think more than we're going to their school of however they've done things, whether or not they've done them well or not in the past.
I asked instructors again all the time. This is our last question.
Okay.
Can I give you that once again? Truly appreciate it.
I think one of the things that attracted RCA to us when we signed with them was the whole grassroots way that we developed our fan base and how we went about doing it. And I think more than we're trying to get them to promote us their way, they're trying to sort of just magnify the way we did it. So I'm hoping that they'll just sort of enlarge on what we've done. That would be ideal, and I think that's pretty much where they're coming from. If they're not, I'm going to go up there with a big club and beat up Nipper.
I'm still rolling, and I'd like you to just sum it. I mean, that was great. That's what they're really interested in, this part of it. So if you can give me a little more of that, somehow we can like bid it.
Say the same thing?
Yeah, please.
More or less? Okay. I think one of the reasons that RCA was attracted to us was because of how we built up a fan base, a large fan base with our own independent release and with our own album and with how we promote it, with our merchandising or whatever, all the stuff that we made by ourselves with a little family business back in Charlottesville. And I think that one of the things they're trying to do, rather than move us into big publicity and videos and shoving us down people's throats, is to try and just enlarge on that same kind of natural evolution. And I'm hoping they do too. If they're not, I'll go up and punish them violently.
I want to ask you one last thing, and that is, so talk a little bit more about this grassroots movement and how it actually pushed you guys along. I mean, it's a rather unique thing. I mean, 34 Billboard charts, is that correct? Something like that.
Yeah.
And with like no recent major label setting, relatively no art. Talk about the grassroots aspect of the fans. We'll do one at a time. Okay. Talk to me.
I'm not sure exactly what it is about us that appealed to people at the beginning, but certainly when we first started out, the people that had heard us came back again, and that sort of branched out into the bootlegging, that people spread the word around about us, and we just traveled. We played anywhere. We played benefits. We did benefits all the time. We played fraternities as often as we could. We played any sort of gig that would pay us and that would get us in front of people. Desperately trying to get out in front of people. But we never were racing toward getting signed. We never raced towards getting a big management company or getting videos or anything like that. It was always just a focus on spreading the word among fans. And I think maybe that's why the reaction from fans was what it was that our focus was on them, and maybe they could see that, which is, it's gratifying that they got that from us. And now that we're signed, hopefully the word will spread in the same way, even though it might get on MTV or it might get on the radio more. We didn't have any radio play really to speak of before now, and it's doing well for us, but it's mainly the people that buy it that matter, as opposed to how shiny and glossy our resume might be.
Okay, your thoughts on that too? Anytime you're ready.
Okay. So I guess people just appreciate our music, and they show that by just going out and telling their friends about it, and coming to all our shows. Dedicated people come. We were just in Montreal recently, and we never played in Canada before, but like 500 kids from like the United States came over and followed us over to Canada, you know, and that's the kind of, you know, like dedicated like following we have. It's just, I guess people just appreciate our music, and we appreciate them coming, you know, and supporting us, and it works out well.
He answered with a smile. Thank you guys. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, appreciate it. Guys, I can quickly introduce your names and your instruments. Starting from there, going across.
Carter drums.
Stefan bass.
LeRoi saxophone.
First question, please.
All right.
Here we go.
Everyone seems to be taking note of the grassroots promotional strategy that escalated you.
Guys in the background, once again, we're having problems with background noise. And also, plus, 5 more people, please, here, quick. Don't move too fast, you might crack.
All right. Hey.
All right. Homegirl. Yeah.
Bring him in there. Yes, I don't care. It's a guy, forget it. Okay, quickly. Okay, here we go. Everybody in the background, once again, we got to keep it quiet and down and low, and we're all talking to each other. We're not looking this way, we're all talking to each other. Thank you. Okay, let's start again, okay?
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Snowball and all that.
Yeah, okay.
One more time.
Yeah.
Look at her, you're doing great.
Yeah, when it started out, you know, we made a little demo tape after a month of rehearsal, and a lot of our friends loved it, you know, and they told their friends and so on and so on, and we just started playing at local clubs in Charlottesville, Virginia. So, and it just took off that way, basically. You know, we had really nothing to do with it. You know, people just loved what we did. You know, loved the music. So basically, we started out that way.
Next, any other impressions? You guys, I'm going to ask. I'm going to start with one. Any other impressions you want to kick in? Anybody?
That pretty much says it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have something to say? That's it. If you want to share something, then this is your time. Okay.
Well, I mean, at this point, I mean, everybody's just sort of catching their breath because it happened so quickly, and the whole time we've been on the road working and really didn't see it happening. I mean, we were just working, you know, we're playing, but it's fun, you know.
Next question.
Part of that grassroots movement included a computer network amongst your fan base. Tell us about that. Does it still exist? Has it changed at all as online capabilities have grown in both sides of technology?
You know, it's weird.
If you have something to say about that, do it. If you have nothing to say, because those guys really didn't have much to say about that.
Yeah, it's weird. We really don't know that much about the computer thing. You know, we don't get much information from the home office. You know, what's going on. You know, we're like LeRoi said, we're always on the road, so we never really, you know, see what's happening. We hear a lot of things. You know, what's going on. But no, you know, it's the whole thing is taken off through that network as well. You know.
Question, please, loudly, please, loudly.
What was it like to work with Steve Lillywhite? One article suggested that he lobbied you guys to let him.
You missed this grassroots movement with the computer network. Do you guys have things to say about the grassroots movement?
Yeah, that's a weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like to work with Steve Lillywhite? One article suggested that he lobbied you guys to let him produce your album. Is this the case?
I couldn't really hear.
Give it a
Yeah.
shot, okay? Just scream it out.
What
heard
was
the
it
Steve
like to
Lillywhite.
work with
Remind him
Steve
of home.
Lillywhite? One article suggested that he lobbied you guys to let him produce your album. Is this the case?
I don't think so. I mean, first of all, Steve is a wonderful cat to work with. We walked into the studio and he was, you know, like open arms. You know, we're gonna have some fun. You know, let's have a great time. Let's get some work done too. You know, but at the same time, you know, when we were working, it was a pleasant journey actually, working with Steve. Some producers that I worked with before were like, the drill instructors, you know, and it tensed you up so much that you couldn't perform, you know, as well as you normally would, you know. So, but Steve loosened the whole thing up from day one, and we had a great time working with him. You know, the guy's a genius. You know, he's a master for sure at what he does. So,
He's excellent.
yeah.
Everything to say about working with Steve Lillywhite?
Steve Lillywhite, well, he was.
Hang on 1 second there, bud. Hang on. And do me a favor. Look at her. And go.
Well, Steve was the first producer I've ever worked with, and by far, I feel like he definitely laid a nice foundation for my studio work, and it made it very comfortable for me, made me feel fine. And as far as the whole band's concerned, I really think he really helped bring out the best of all of us in the studio that we probably had never seen before. But he was definitely a great inspiration for me.
Right. And hang on, sir.
Man.
Hang on. And don't look at the monitor, look at her. Okay, everybody can talk about Steve.
It was excellent working with him.
Okay, we need to hear it. Steve was great. We need to hear
Steve was great.
Look at her.
Steve was great, and he taught all of us a lot about the technical side of music and also the artistic side of music. And he's a great person, and we became good friends. And I hope we can work with him again.
Next question, please. Excellent, guys.
Has Lillywhite previously worked with any of your influences, and who are some of your musical influences?
Yes, U2, Peter Gabriel, Aretha Franklin, I think. Yes, and he's. I mean, right off the bat, you know, when I found out that he was involved with you know, one of the pick that we had for producers, when his, I guess, credentials were tossed around, we were like, wow, you know, this is the one that we're going to pick, you know. And we met him, and he was so pleasant, you know, to be around. He was a great guy to be around, and he still is a great guy. But, yeah, and that, you know, like I said, right off the bat, that was the thing for me, you know, and for the rest of the guys as well, you know, to work with Steve Lillywhite.
Yeah, one of the things, like, I didn't know much about Steve Lillywhite until like closer to the end of it when we were finishing up with our album. One of the things I realized is he did an Ecstasy Black Sea album, which is one of my all-time favorite albums. So it was pretty surprising to find out all the people he worked with.
It was. I didn't know that he had worked with such a variety of different types of artists, and I don't know. I was really impressed with, you know. I like all the bands he's worked with, and it was really cool working with him. He's just cool, you know. Just it's hard to describe.
Okay, great. What I'm doing.
People often compare Dave to Sting. Do you mind this? Has it helped you at all, or has it hurt you?
I don't think it has hurt us at all. It's helped us.
We don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Dave's comparison to Sting, I don't think is really, you know, something like that. Now look at her, guys.
Okay.
And go.
Once again. Question again.
Question again, please.
People often compare Dave to Sting. Do you mind this? Has it helped you at all, or has it hurt you at all?
No, we don't mind being compared to Sting. Not at all. As a matter of fact, when this band started, I would compare the music that Dave wrote with Sting and Paul Simon and James Taylor. And I think he got sort of tired of me doing that, you know, a lot of times, because every song he would come up with, oh man, that reminds me of Sting, man, that sounds like Sting, or that reminds me of Paul Simon, or something like that, you know. And I'm a fan of all those guys, you know, especially Sting. I mean, his, you know, the things that he incorporates with his music is amazing. You know, it has the jazz element, it has the rock element, you know, and the country bluegrass as well. You know, it has all those things fused in there together. And I think this is what's happening with our band. You know, the chemistry that we have with our band is pretty much the same thing, you know, that Sting has. You know, so no, I don't mind being, you know, in the same category with Sting at all. It's wonderful.
It's a compliment.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely a compliment.
It's a great compliment. I mean, to say that people think that, you know, Dave sounds like Sting, that's, I don't know how anything negative could be, you know, read into that at all.
Yeah.
It's great. I think it helps a lot.
And
Good enough, guys. I love it. Next question, please.
Being a live band, even the first two albums were recorded live. Was it difficult to record in the studio album? And did you guys digital disc. Are you happy with the final product?
Personally, I'm very happy. I think I can speak for the rest of the guys.
And personally, you're what?
Personally, I'm very happy with the outcome of the new CD.
I just messed up.
Yeah. Personally, I'm happy with the outcome of the new CD. I was very happy with the first CD as well, but the first CD, I'm not too into the live recording thing. You know, I'm not in favor of that much at all. I've been recording for many years, and most of the stuff I've done has been, has the studio quality to the music. So yeah, it's something that we just when we got with Steve, he took things and just did it his way, with our input as well. But and that's how we got that sort of live feeling to it with the studio quality, of the music. Unlike the first CD, which was basically all live, with the exception of 4 songs, I think, and it sounded really tinny. The quality was really tinny, and that was probably the only thing that I wasn't pleased with the first CD. But this CD, I think, is like the one. This is the one that I think is gonna get us to that point, to that level of competition with the other bands out here.
Well, hang on. Everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame, Danny. Uncle Bob's Video House, Uncle Bob's Video Tour.
Uncle Bob. You know about Uncle Bob's?
Okay, stand by. I know, it's probably some local thing. I don't know anything about it. Ready to go.
Another thing with working in the studio, though, definitely is you're allowed to experiment in ways that you're not allowed to on stage. But then on stage, you're allowed to experiment in ways that you're not allowed to in the studio. But Steve, a lot of the bands that he's worked with, his albums have been very raw. They've, but there's very little bit of studio experimentation, but it's still commonly used in his albums, and that was one of the better parts of the studio, is definitely the experimenting with things that you just couldn't do, like cutting up tape and stuff like that. But I think in the future, definitely a lot more longer time in the studio will really help us out, and we can really show that we can do both. We're in both worlds, I think.
There's some input on this?
Yeah.
Hang on one second, let me bring you up.
It was easier working in the studio than I thought it would be, but and I think mostly because we were so familiar with the material that we were recording, and also Steve relaxed us so much, so that it turned out to be basically fun. But it did open up a whole nother world, as Stefan was talking about experimenting in the studio, and everybody's really excited about going back into the studio and creating some new music.
Next question, please, very loud. Okay, everybody in the background, about half decibel, please. Thanks, you guys are doing great, only just a little bit lower. Okay, next, please.
How many nights a year do you guys play live, and how do you keep it all fresh?
Let's talk about keeping it fresh.
Yeah.
And you guys
Keeping it fresh.
Playing live, we play so many days live, and look at repeats and go.
I spoke earlier about the chemistry that we have in the span, and all of us coming from a different musical background. I think that's the focus of keeping, all the music that we do fresh. Every night that we get on stage, there's no 2 tunes that we play, the same way. Every night is something different, The structure of the tunes may be the same, but musically, it's got to be different. There's just no way in the world we're going to allow ourselves to do the same thing every night. That would get boring, and then it would turn into a job for us, and we'll just say, let's forget it. So
the audience helps to make it fresh too, because we get a chance to play in front of a lot of new audiences, especially on this tour, and their enthusiasm, their excitement about, it comes back to us.
Oh yeah, totally.
And all of a sudden, seemingly the same old thing is a new thing, and it's great.
Right. Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. we've had audiences where, I mean, they would scream so loud, they were like so enthused that the stage felt like it was like rumbling, you know, and that kind of thing just makes you want to play harder, you know, and it makes those creative juices just like flow really hard, you know, and it just takes off. It takes off, and the interaction, you know, amongst ourselves on stage is like, wow, did you check that out? You know, that roar from that crowd just now, you know, it's like, whew, it's mind blowing, you know, and all of a sudden you'll just try something different, you know, on your instrument, you know, just because of the enthusiasm from the crowd, you know, and it's a weird thing, but you know, I tell everybody, you know, that doesn't play music, you have to be there to understand what we're trying to say here, you know, on stage. You know, you'd have to, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, it's like the best high in the world. There's no drug on this earth, you know, that can be the same that you can get when you're on stage, you know. It's totally
biggest
different,
pleasure
you know.
is being on stage.
Yeah, and like, and even the audiences and the people that have seen us a bunch of times, I think they really like it when we experiment and try, you know, new things. So that is more energy, you know. So it's like, I mean, some people have seen, you know, tons of shows, and they analyze the music more than we do, you know, and it's fun to talk to them, and they notice when things are different, and they get off on it, you know. So
I think that has something to do with the bootlegging factor here as well.
Definitely.
You know, there's so many bootlegs out there all over the world right now, and that's mind blowing in itself that people are liking our music that much. You know, but I think that experimentation on stage and that interaction that we have on stage, you know, and sharing this thing with the audience, they're like, you know, well, I have such and such date videotape, I mean not video, sorry, audio tape, and they'll share those things, you know, and we'll play, like I said, the same songs, but people have different, let's say, versions of them as far as the music goes, you know, how the music is going to sound. You know, we could play one of our tunes, Ants Marching, you know, the structure is the same, but musically it's going to be different. You know, and people will share those tapes and share those ideas, you know, and check out what LeRoi did on this tape, or check out what Stefan did on that tape, and you know, and so on and so on. You know, so it's an amazing thing. You know, it's an amazing thing, and it feels great. I mean, it feels wonderful. You know, to have that sort of thing happen. You know, so it's cool.
What was it like to play the Ford tour?
That was fabulous.
Awesome.
Yeah, fabulous.
Awesome.
We did it last year. We did 2 shows last year. We did Raleigh and we did Charlotte last year, and it was wonderful. We had a great time. You know, we met a lot of new people. You know, new musicians, great musicians. This year we got a chance to do it with the Allman Brothers. You know, Blues Traveler, of course. You know, and Big Head Todd and the Monsters. And also on top of that, there were several bands that we had never heard of before. Rusted Root, for instance, who's on tour with us now, as a matter of fact. A group called Little Sister from Austin, Texas. G-Love, yeah. And these guys, they had something to say. I mean, when they hit the stage hard, and they meant business. You know, so the main stage, it was great to be on the main stage and get a chance to intermingle with all the musicians on the main stage. But one of the things that excited me the most was being with hanging out with the guys on the second stage, you know, because they were like so fired up. You know, these other guys on the main stage, fantastic musicians, but they had already been there. You know, they're already up there. These other guys are like, you know, the other bands are like bands that are like trying to make it, getting their start, you know, so they're like giving it all they, you know, I guess like trying to impress the coach kind of thing, you know. And I think the magic of it, well, not the magic, but the key to it all is trying to keep that impress the coach attitude all the time. And you know, I think that's, to me, that's the key to longevity, you know, trying to impress the coach all the time and make that thing happen for yourself and happen for your audience as well, you know. If your audience is going to be there and if everything is fresh, you know, for your audience, then they're going to continue to come back and see you know. So it's wonderful.
Can you like give me what you just said back real quick? Just give me that last couple of sentences about freshness and keeping the energy going, keeping the audience coming back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, longevity is the key here, and then that's, you know, having that impress the coach attitude is what's going to make that happen for you. You know, for any band or for anything you do, I guess, you know, in life. And having that energy, you know, that you share with the audience. If you continue to give that energy to the audience, they're going to give you something back always. You know, and that freshness, if that freshness is there, you know, they're going to keep feeding off of it forever. You know, and that's the way it works, basically. You know, so. Yeah.
You guys got some quick input about the board listing?
It was
Hang on 1 second. Ready? Stand by, look at her. Stand by.
there were so many cool bands on the Horde, and it was a great variety of different styles and just some really amazing musicians too. And some of them we've known before and worked with before, but it's a great experience. And I just think that kind of environment brings out the best, in all the musicians and all the bands and in the music. And it's a great time.
It was nice to be around the people.
I don't know if it's on. I don't know if his camera is on. I guess he's on. Make some faces.
Excuse me. What's your name?
Jerry.
Okay.
Okay. It's better to know who we're talking
Do you
to.
have something to say about the Horde show real quick?
Not really.
No, okay, next question. Stand by. This is our last question, by the way.
Okay.
Stand by.
What?
I'm warming up.
Just
warming up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, stand by. Look at Jerry here. And
Okay, yeah, very exciting. We're not familiar with the West Coast at all, actually. I lived in the West Coast. I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and the music scene out there was kind of weird at the time. It was like a heavy metal scene. So I'm kind of, worried about how we're going to go over out there. I've heard a lot of things about people out there hearing our music and getting into it, and there's been a lot of talk, about us out there. So, my views are somewhat changing now, as far as, Los Angeles being a heavy metal kind of place. There's a lot of stuff going on out there now. We're fortunate enough to go on this next tour with Fish on the West Coast. So that's going to help us considerably, in a major way. So I'm really psyched, about going out there with them. We've opened up for them a couple of times before, and it was wonderful. We had a great time, and the guys are great musicians. So we're going to try to hit it out there with them and try to, excuse me, John Fishman, but we're going to try to snag some of their audience, and see what happens. I shouldn't have said that maybe, but I don't know. Who cares? But yeah, that's what it. That's what it boils down to. That's what it's all about, actually. That's. I guess it has a lot to do with the grassroots thing as well. So. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about this grassroots fan building thing and how the guys became successful at that. Briefly, okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about the power of the grassroots movement and that kind of support for them.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful thing. I've never heard of the band.
The grassroots.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, the grassroots, let's say, factor. It's a very, very powerful thing. I've never heard of any band doing it, in this manner, the way we've done it. It's a strange thing. I really don't know that much about how all that stuff works. I just know that it's basically word of mouth, and the sharing of bootlegs, that's all there is. That's all I can say about it, actually. It's a weird thing, but it works. It works. It's very powerful. It's a very, very powerful tool to use, to make it, to wherever you want to go with it, So I don't know. Like I said, we've been fortunate enough to get to this level, and hopefully, with the grassroots factor, involved there, we can take a step up, and wherever that step up will take us, then we'll see. We'll just ride the wave and see where it goes, So. Yeah.
Did I say briefly? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I got it.
He dogged me.
Give the question. Got it. Give the question once again to the show.
You guys built up a solid fan base
Kill it.
in the South and in the Northeast, also in Colorado, and you're venturing into uncharted territory out west. How's it going, and is it exciting and challenging to the band?
It's definitely exciting and challenging at the same time. I think generally the excitement is going to be more than the challenge, just because we'll sort of let our performances and let our album take care of itself when we're out there, and we'll grow with Fish, and I think we'll grow out there. But it's definitely more exciting because, this is a big country, and there are a lot of different people across the country, and we're going to be going some places probably where the people there are going to seem like just another country, or completely different. The South is much different from the North as far as like their shows, but every different area seems to have a different vibe. And I think that the vibe out west is very cool. They're very hip and stuff, and it's definitely going to be fun to be able to go out there and relax and play music and stuff.
Yeah. It's going to be, yeah.
Hang on.
All right.
I got to frame all you guys, make you look as handsome as possible. It's my job. It's why I make the big money.
Well, if you can make us look handsome, you will be making the big money. The big money. You won't be working this gig anymore.
You can make us look handsome, trust me.
Okay, thank you, sir. This is our last fight. Killer kicker that we wait for.
You got the kick. Give him a big smile, dude, man.
Okay, what was the question again?
Okay.
You just sit back. There. Well, not sit back, but I mean just stay in one position.
Oh, okay,
Give me
right.
the question, please, loud and clear.
You guys built up a solid fan base in the South and in the Northeast, also Colorado, and you're now venturing into uncharted territory out west. How's it going, and is it exciting and challenging to lead?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, but it's more exciting. And I think we're just looking forward to just meeting new people, making some friends, digging some new music, just seeing how other people around the country relate to each other, and hoping we can, throw some positivity on it. And that's that.
Tell me about this grassroots support. Give me your feeling on your take on that, about the incredible fact that you guys haven't got the radio play.
Well,
all these people supporting you play. Look at her and tell me.
Well, that's the grassroots effort, behind the band. To me, is just very, very flattering that people are so enthusiastic about the band that they just take it upon themselves to just spread the word about the music and the band, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, every time we go to a new place, I'm always shocked at how many people, know about us, have heard about us, have tapes, in places that we've never been, much less played before, And to me, it's just like a magical thing. I don't even really know how it works. It's amazing. It's great, I don't know. I wish the whole world could be like that. Maybe we can get a whole grassroots, peace thing in the whole world.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that it? Do I hear a rap?